Curaleaf making major waves in cannabis today, announcing they have purchased Grassroots for $875 million. Deal makes Curaleaf the largest cannabis company by revenue in the world. Joining us to discuss this CNBC exclusive interview is the executive chairman of Curaleaf. Boris Jordan is back at Post 9. Welcome back. Congratulations.
Good to be here.
Why this one?
Well, this fills out our national footprint. We had a dominant position on the East Coast with the transaction we did 2 months ago. We built out our footprint on the West Coast. This gives us the Midwest. So this gives us Illinois, Michigan, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Maryland, and other states. So this basically fills out the footprint for us to sell our products across all major markets in the United States.
Is it a comment on where you think statewide legalization is headed now, the center of the country?
I think so. I mean, Illinois, obviously, being the most
Michigan
recent,
too, right?
Michigan, too, making that decision. We think, Pennsylvania is one of the states we acquired through this transaction. They have it. It looks like may have it on their ballot. The governor has a team going around the state right now talking to various interest groups. So we're starting to see, most of the major states in the country at least starting to review going recreational or adult use.
True land grab in the real sense of the word. I mean, you were early. You've gotten scale fairly early. Are you done now? Have you sort of reached the goals?
Given those states that have legalized at this moment, I think we're almost there. The only hole in our footprint at the moment is Colorado, and that's because the Colorado authorities didn't allow out-of-state companies to own. They have changed that legislation, so we may have a Colorado transaction in the works. But outside of that, I think we're going to focus on integration and developing our brands and delivering them to our customers. And, the next sort of, frontier is really Europe. Given that the United States, at this point in time, we've sort of maxed out our footprint. We have to obviously build on that footprint to get our products to our customers. But I think Europe is probably the next point of destination.
But when it comes to integration and execution, which are, of course, two very important things here, give our viewers some sense as to why they should believe you're going to be successful at that, given how many acquisitions you've made in the recent time frame. I mean,
I've been doing this for 30 years, and I've integrated everything from data center businesses in Europe and financial services in Eastern Europe. This is just another industry. To be honest, it's very, very similar to what we saw in the data center business in Europe, where you had every single country in Europe has different rules and regulations, and we were acquiring after the dot-com bubble blew data center. We started in the UK, and we started buying across Europe, and we created Telecity, which was, the largest data center complex in all of Europe, which was sold to Equinix in the U.S. So it's a very similar platform to that. You just have to hire the right people. And what's great at the moment is that top-notch executives from all CPG around the country want to come and work for cannabis. We have some announcements coming of very, very senior hires from some of the
growth
biggest
industry,
brand
unlike
names.
a lot of what they're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, 2-3 years ago, they wouldn't pick up your phone. Now they're calling us and saying, we'd love to come to work for you.
And why is vertically integrated the way to go in the cannabis
It just
industry?
gives you total control of the supply chain. And given the nature of the system in the U.S., where it's state legal, not federal, it's very inefficient, but you have to manufacture the products, and you have to sell in the state. You can't move them across the borders. So once that legislation changes, I don't expect that to happen for a couple of years, but when it does change, obviously companies like ours will also change, and we'll centralize in one place and distribute our products from there.
Our team has done some reporting in the past week on the black market and how hard it is to kill, right? What's it going to take? And what impact is it having?
Reduce taxes. The biggest problem in those states where the state have lowered the tax rates down to about 20%, maybe 25%, the black market's almost dead. In those states like California, where they come out with a 50% tax rate, it actually only helped the black market further develop. So what they really need to do is bring the tax rate down, and then they can move it up as they destroy the black market. Then they can start moving the tax rates up.
So fines don't cut it, right, when you catch these guys?
The problem is that cannabis has been made legal, basically. It's been decriminalized in almost every state that it's legal in. So 30-some-odd states have decriminalized cannabis at this point in time. So they really have no authority to go after these people. In the current environment, the DOJ doesn't spend the time to do it. They don't have the budget for it, and the local authorities don't. So the only way to do it is through market forces, and that's bring down the tax rates. That will kill the black market because it will make the product cheaper and more accessible to the consumer. And I think that's the way to go.
Boris, you pointed out you're an entrepreneur with a good amount of experience in different areas. You rolled up data centers in Europe. You're obviously expanding greatly here in this product area. But are you eventually going to sell this company?
We'd like to think that we could create, I think the cannabis industry in the United States will have one or two cannabis-based CPG-type companies, we'd like Curaleaf to be one of those 2 to 3. Otherwise, we do think that the big CPG companies eventually will come in and start acquiring in the sector as legalization happens. I mean, let's be honest. Where does it go? It goes into food products, Nestle. It goes into drinks, Anheuser-Busch. It goes, so there will be a tremendous amount of acquisitions in the area, but we also think there'll be specialty companies focusing on cannabis products, and Curaleaf would like to be one of those companies.